Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Behind Closed Doors with Ali
and Adri.
Today, we are talking about ways to deal with your anxiety, how you cope with it. I'm somebody who doesn't really suffer from anxiety as bad as this one over here does, but she and I really dive deep into this. We talk about cold showers. We talk about how we deal with anxiety in our life and how you could use your own body and your five senses as a tool to deal with some overthinking thoughts.
Yeah, we got some real person, some real life experiences that we shared here that come from me.
We ain't perfect.
And also her, though. But
if you want to hear stories about her car getting stuck in the snow, if you want to hear stories about
me crying in a bush,
Adriana crying in a bush, just wait till the end. It's going to be exciting.
All right, let's get into it.
Here we go. We have a beautiful array of birds around us. So if you hear some birds, it's because we're recording outside. But I kind of like it because it's giving like summer podcasting vibes.
I know, it gives like nostalgia. This kind of would have been great for your last one.
Yeah, this is really good. So last summer, I started cold plunging every day, and it was so amazing. And I haven't done it this summer yet because my cold plunge thing is dirty. I don't know. We didn't do a good job packing up for the winter. Or at least I don't think we did because I don't see it here.
Boo.
And it was so amazing to do cold plunges. And I know people are like, holy fuck, I'd never survive. But it teaches you so much. And like it basically just teaches you in my head, like learning how to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Like learning how to work through your emotions and anxiety using water, like cold water. And I know it sounds silly, but it's really not, because I mean, I take cold showers every day, and even then I do like my breathing in my showers. Like I'll have my hand on my chest, my hand on my stomach, and I'll do my breathing during like a cold shower. But you're literally like, your body's going into almost like a little bit of a state of shock, and you're sitting there trying to calm yourself down. And it's just really interesting because it's hard to do, but when you're doing it, it like just teaches you a lot and teaches you how to deal with like emotional bodily reactions in the shower with cold water, but then in your like in life you have to actually do that. So it's cool because it carries on into your daily life. So that was one summer habit I developed last year, and since then I've continued it, and it's just been cold showers, and it is an amazing habit that I suggest everyone tries. And start like tiny, few seconds, go to 30 seconds, go to a minute. It's really, really awesome.
I like the habit because she actually made me do it one time when I had like a really bad depressive episode. And
that's true, I did.
Yeah, like it helped out a lot during it. And like it's funny because I don't personally enjoy it. Like I don't find any enjoyment in it.
It's really not enjoyable.
It's not enjoyable during it. But I think like the issue with me is that I've only done it when I'm in like that bad state of mind. I've never actually done it just like, oh, I'm gonna like do like my daily cold plunge today. Like I'm like whatever. Like to me like it's funny because I have a different relationship with it. But I think now, because you just talked about it, I was thinking about trying to do more of them in the summer too.
Well, think about it this way: if you take a hot shower, you could end it with 30 seconds of cold. 30 seconds.
I do that sometimes. Well, I feel like in the summer though, like naturally, like when I come back from the beach, I never take hot showers. I'm like literally in cold water the entire time.
I just do that all the time.
Yeah, but I think it's because like my body's already in like that really, really, really like hot temperature, so it's like it's way easier to take a cold shower.
Yeah, and the whole point is it's not supposed to be easy.
Yeah,
the whole point is like it's supposed to be difficult. So there's times where I really don't want to take a cold shower, and once I'm aware of that, like I don't want to take a cold shower now, I'm like, okay, well now I have to.
Yeah, exactly,
because I'm aware of it.
It's really a great way to like work through shit though. Like it doesn't feel like you're actually working through anything until like you do it, and then afterwards you're like, oh, I feel like I just like unleashed a lot of stuff. Like when I did it like during my depressive episode, like it was more of like the whole thing was like, actually it wasn't a depressive episode, it was more of like a panic attack that I was going through. It started off like being depressed, and then it slowly got to like anxiety. And when you put yourself in like cold water, you naturally like will like it like takes your breath away.
Yeah, and then you have to calm yourself down.
You have to use your breath to like regulate yourself. And it kind of forces you into it. So I think it's a great way to shock your system. Like if you really have no control of your body, I think it'll force you to control it.
I always think about ways to heal my mood. So, like when I'm just doing really, really bad, like my brain is just not feeling well at all. I'm always like, okay, what do I do to heal my mood? And so I have to like kind of actively sit there and figure out how to heal my mood. And sometimes it's really, really difficult for me because I just want to lay in bed instead of my phone. But I know that only usually makes it worse. So I'm like, okay, I need to either like clean and organize and like turn on some music, or I need to go lay in the shower, or maybe I need to take a cold shower. Showers usually really help my mood. But it's interesting, like with cold showers, it's cool because you don't want to be doing it. And that's the whole point of life. Like there's going to be things that you don't want to do. And something that I've been working on over the past few years is not letting anxiety and like my emotions get the best of me in tough situations. So actually this is the perfect example. There's a cop car and it's going around the whole fucking village and we can hear the sirens and it's like like right now, right? And I have no patience for this kind of stuff and I have to like sit here and be calm and be like, I can't do anything about it. It's going to pass.
Yeah.
Like it just in certain situations, especially like when you work with children, like we were teachers and things are going to happen. And if you are the one that's anxious filled and everything, it's just going to make it so much worse. Like if a kid is throwing up in the corner, this happened to me at one point. A kid was like throwing up in the corner. If I start running over and being like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, he's throwing up. Oh my God. And I need to teach his math. The kids are going to start freaking out. The kids get anxiety in situations when you want to lose patience and you want to freak out and you want to let your emotions get the best of you. I think that's the best time where you have to learn, okay, and be aware, like, I need to manage this right now. And that's what I'm trying to work on. Like, when my parents get me riled up, sometimes I'll, like, just scream back at them, and I need to work on just, like, taking a breath and, like, leaving the situation. Yeah. And that's the same thing with, like, that's why I think it all relates to, like, which sounds crazy, but, like, cold showers. Like, you're in an uncomfortable situation, your body's trying to do something, and your reaction is to leave the shower, you know, whatever it is, but you have to sit there and deal with it and breathe and work through it and get yourself not to shiver. And like that's, I think, an important skill that carries on in the rest of your life.
Everyone in my family has anxiety, especially like the women in my family. So I feel like it's impacted my own anxiety because they always got so hyped up about like things that I was doing, the example that you gave about like when, let's say, like a kid's throwing up in the classroom and like you're like, oh my God, like you made like a huge deal out of it where it really isn't that big of a deal. My people in my family have done that. It boosts my anxiety even more. And I think for a while that's why my anxiety was so bad, because I like would naturally do that. Like in any like small scenario, my family's reaction would be in the back of my head, so I felt like I had to react that way, like because they always reacted that way to situations.
I think I learned through my dad how to be calm when people are anxious around you, because my mom and my grandma are very, very high anxiety and my dad's just not at all. So like when things are happening, he'll literally just be like, he'll just be so chill and nothing, like, he does not, he's like whatever. But yeah. So I kind of learned from him. So like when my mom's freaking out or somebody that I know is freaking out, I'm just kind of like, all right, like we can't do anything about this right now, what do we do? And that's kind of his mindset too. It's like well, we can't do anything about this, what do we do? So a thing with time anxiety is I used to be always like and I'd be late to school, I'd be like, oh my god, we need to go, and my dad's like, we're gonna get there, we're in the car, we can't change if it's gonna be a red light or green light, so we're gonna get there when we get there, you might as well just relax. Right. And then that kind of helped me with my time anxiety. So it was like sometimes I'll be racing to a babysitting job, right? And it's like, I already left the house, so I'm going to get there when I get there. There's no speeding up time right now. There's no speeding up traffic. You just got to like relax if you can't do anything else about it at that point.
Right. And so what sucks about anxiety though is like you sometimes can't really control it, or not even that, like
it makes you feel like anxious filled reactions are appropriate in high anxiety situations. But they're actually not.
Exactly.
They're valid, but they're not needed.
Right. No, they're not needed at all. And it's funny because you always feel like you have to react a certain way, but then you learn like these traits and just like you kind of like just remove yourself out of the situation. You kind of look at it in like a bigger picture kind of thing, and you're like, all right, this isn't like actually as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like it's actually not Like my world is like not crumbling right now. Like that's what anxiety will always make you feel like. It's like whatever the situation is, whatever you're anxious about, it makes it feel like you're gonna like literally die.
Another thing with anxiety that helps so much when you're doing it, when you're not just anxious, but just doing it as a natural daily practice, is breathing exercises. And literally, they're so fucking simple. You sit there and you think about your breathing. Breathing is a part of your nervous system that you don't think about. So when you think about it and you, Victoria would be great talking about this.
I know, yeah,
but
she
when you
would.
think about it, putting breath, like putting that mind connection to your breath is so important, and focusing on it and using it as an anchor, because we have constant running thoughts all day, and without that 1 minute of breathing, 2 minutes of breathing, 5 breaths, 10 breaths, sometimes you really don't ever find a time to just literally take a breath during the day. And I was listening to something that was interesting. It was on Jay Shetty's latest podcast, and it was talking about how like people sometimes, they always say when their bed hits the pillow, their brain starts running and racing, and then they can't go to sleep. And that's funny because it's like they don't give themselves time during the day where they're just sitting and breathing and relaxing and letting those thoughts come in, and not judging those thoughts, but kind of letting them pass by and observe them, and keeping your mind on a breath and creating that connection within your body is so relaxing and beneficial. And like that's why yoga is so great, because it's not just like you're stretching in yoga, you're matching your breath to your movement. So when you match a breath to like a cat or a cow pose, even just doing that, you're fully like connecting your mind and body and your brain, and it's a beautiful thing. Developing that skill helps when you're dealing with things in life where they could be anxiety filled or just whatever it is, and you just realize you just need to sometimes take a breath. I didn't realize how important breathing was until there were moments in teaching where I was actually like just ready to freaking like yell at a kid, but obviously I can't do that, so I just have to like, there would be times where they would do something so bizarre and I would be like,
yeah, you have to fucking breathe.
And literally after one breath, my reaction was completely different. If you take that time in any scenario to genuinely be like even in a fight with someone, just breathe, connect with yourself for a second so you're not emotionally reactive towards the person, and speak from a place of intention and purpose and the place that you want to be speaking from despite what you're feeling emotionally.
I've like learned that the hard way with my parents, especially because when I was younger, all of my fights with them were so reactive. Like I didn't think before doing anything. I didn't breathe. Like I was very like, you can see in like my body language, like if someone were to look at the fight I had with my parents, like just the way I physically looked, I was very just like tense and like just so in a whole other like mind body kind of space. But now when I'm frustrated about something, not even with like my parents, just in general, I like take a really big deep breath. Or like, for example, this is something funny, that this is actually what I do. I like am very afraid of getting my blood taken. Anything to do with needles, it freaks me out. So like anything with the doctor, if I like know something's gonna happen, I even like in the car, I'll start like from my car, like on the drive there. I get into my car and I'm like, okay, like you gotta get your blood taken. You know there's gonna be a needle in your arm. Like you already know all these things. It's gonna take 2 seconds, like you'll be fine. And I like will consistently just do breathing exercises as I'm driving there. When I park my car, I sit there for a second. I'm like, okay, you're gonna be fine. And I think about like, okay, when you get your blood taken, it takes like actually like what, less than 2 minutes. And I think about, okay, how long is 2 minutes actually? It's not that long. It's like maybe like, and I think about like an action like 2 minutes would do. I'm like, okay, like let's think about like when I'm on my walks and I like walk for like my last like 2 minutes. It's like nothing. Like I'm already home by then. Like, you know, so like, all right, all I have to do is like walk, whatever, or like it's just like the feeling of like the last 2 minutes of my walk, or like anything that you know in your head. Like I just try and think about how long the actual like anxiety ridden activity is going to be versus like something that's like I enjoy doing in that time frame. And then I go into my appointment and I get my blood taken, and then I'm fine. Because I'm like, oh, it wasn't even that bad. And even like during it, like I think about like, okay, like this is like the first minute of it, it's your second minute of it. You'll be fine.
I actually taught my students breath work, and we do breathing every morning, and I would have them, like, we would follow a rainbow, or we'd follow a peace sign or a star, and I would do it with them on the board. And it was really cute because there were times where, like, there were certain kids that had, like, really bad anger issues. I would look across the classroom and I would see them with one hand on their chest and one hand on their stomach, and
That's
actually
cute.
breathing, like, because they were getting worked up. And like, there'd be times they would come up to me so angry, and their face is red, and they're, like, ready to just, like, blow up. And I would be like, turn around, go in the corner if you need to, go outside if you need to. You could do it right here. Close your eyes, take a breath, and then we're going to talk about it. Like, take a second, breathe. We don't need to talk about this instantly. Take a second and breathe. And
Right.
it's like, you're teaching kids this, but sometimes you got to take your own fucking advice, because it's hard. Like, it's very hard to just take a breath sometimes, because you don't want to take a breath. You're like, I don't need to breathe. I don't need to breathe. It's like,
Right.
no, you, like, it would actually probably help you. And in Army training, when I have to, like, lead these missions that are, I'm in ROTC, so these missions are not actually real. And so they really should not be causing that much anxiety in me. But because I'm the leader of them, I'm the one that's actually gonna determine the mission. There's a lot of eyes looking at you. You're getting graded. People depend on you. Like, and even though it's fake, we call it, like, cadet land, it still causes anxiety in me. And before those missions, or before we go in training, I literally just have to sit in the bathroom and have a few breaths and just be like, I'm gonna be fine. This isn't real. It's not like actual lives are depending on me. If I make mistakes, that's the whole point. I'm learning. That's what I'm here for.
Right.
And so I'll be breathing and I'll be telling myself these things, and that's what helps me. Because at the end of the day, you really can't do anything else. The date's going to come. The mission's going to come. The activity, whatever you're talking about, is going to come no matter what. You just need to figure out how to deal with it when it does come. You can't
Right.
prevent those things. And the only way you grow is by doing those things. So if you learn
Right.
how to deal with really high stress situations by simply breathing, it helps so much. And that's where me and Adriana kind of found meditation. And I used to meditate before I went to bed, because I would just turn on, like, a guided meditation video, because I have really bad ADHD. And same thing as I was talking about before, like, sometimes when I hit the bed, my brain is running. And I started listening to guided meditations because I needed to hear someone talk, and that eventually would help me fall asleep every night. And then we went to a meditation class at our college, and it was just so amazing, because you're just sitting there, like, you're just sitting there, and it's not, you're laying there actually. And I know people just think you're sitting there with your freaking legs crossed, you're like, but it's not it at all. Like, some of it's guided, some of it's silent. You're just relaxing there, and you're just allowing any thoughts to come into your brain, pop into your head. You literally sitting on your bedroom floor in silence for a minute or two is meditation.
It's meditation.
It's meditation. It's just connecting with your mind and body. It's such a beautiful thing, and doing it is so useful and helpful. It's like finding that peace in your daily routine, and it's hard to fit into a schedule because you sometimes don't really understand. You're like, well, I have to do this and this and this. Well, no, you don't. You're choosing to do that, and what you should choose to do is have a little bit of a spiritual connection with yourself 1 minute or 2 minutes of the day. In my opinion, that's how I think that, like, a good day could go if I put the time into myself in my day.
Right. Like, I think everyone's very deserving of, like, their own time, because I think so many people are worried about everybody else except for themselves. Sitting with yourself and just being there for you, I don't think people realize how important that actually is. Like, just,
even if it's for a few seconds.
Yeah, just for a few seconds.
And some people with careers where you have to be with people all the time, like, for example, when I'm in a classroom full of 20 students, you can't just leave the students, right? I mean, you can go to the bathroom and breathe, but if you can't go to the bathroom, you literally have to just sit there and take a second, breathe, tune out everyone for 2 breaths.
Right. Like, I caught myself a lot, like, in between, because you have, like, periods where you don't have your kids, like, during special and when your prep period is, and I always would come back to the classroom and go, oh, Jesus. Like, I'd be like, you just gotta just fucking breathe it out. Like, you just have to, like, after, like, you might have, like, a really tough day or a really great day. I think it's just still good to, like, it's good to take in your day breath by breath.
My favorite thing was when we did meditation class and yoga class, is when they would literally be like, all right, we're going to let out some sighs. And we would all breathe in, and we'd just be like,
oh, yeah.
And, like, even just, like, purposely letting out a sigh helps so much.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It's
amazing. I do that a lot, actually. I'm like I'm like a sire. Like recently, like, I think I used to not, like, Because I think, like, to me, sighing was like a sign of complaining. So I would never, like, outwardly do it in front of anybody because I wouldn't want anyone to think that, like, I'm sighing because of them or whatever. But now I just outwardly am always just like, I think another good thing for anxiety is just, again, like, don't make it such a big fucking deal, because most of the shit that you get anxious about, it really isn't that big. Like, I get anxious about, like, little tiny things that to me in the moment don't feel tiny. If you always put them in a different perspective, like if you don't look at them from just one point of view, it'll kind of build up your, just the way you see situations. Like, I'm not really, like, for example, like teaching was something that I was, like, extremely anxious about, like, extremely, because it's something that I also care a lot about. So I always want to make sure, like, oh, I'm doing the right thing, I'm teaching clearly, I have, like, my standards out, I have this, I have that, whatever, because I'm also someone who's a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to things I have a big passion for. And so before my observations, I'd be like, oh my God, like, do I have all my stuff? Oh, I'm so nervous. And my first observation, I was obviously anxious about, because it's the first time I've ever been observed, like, seriously, and been critiqued seriously and whatever. By, like, my sixth observation, I was like, I got this. Like, I didn't even give a shit. Like, that anxiety just goes away. And it's because, like, when you kind of practice, like, how you react to similar situations, it'll at some point not cause you anxiety. And I think it's like it should be like a common thing, because I feel like many people, they get anxious over the same shit all the time. Like people in my family get anxious about the same situations, like how, like, I'm doing, or like how other people are doing. Oh, if they're doing the right thing. Oh, da 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 da. And you kind of just need to retract from it. Like test taking, like, like, tests are like are anxiety ridden, but like, you've taken tests a million times and you've always done well, so the fact that you get anxious about it doesn't really make any sense. So kind of, that's like just saving your energy for no anxiety.
I think you just have to sometimes you have to step away from a situation and you're like, how irrational is this anxiety, right? Like, what's really the worst can happen, what's the best that could happen, right? And then if you see yourself kind of dipping towards the negative, it's like, chill. Right. Like, and I know with anxiety, you just saying chill is not really like, I know it sounds invalidating, but sometimes you really just have to sit with yourself and just be like, you gotta chill the fuck out. Like, you gotta talk to yourself and be like, this is really not that big of a deal. I'm making it a big deal in my head. And I think this is the thing, though. I'm trying to understand anxiety more, because I'm someone who doesn't really suffer from anxiety, and I know you do. And I know a lot of people suffer from anxiety. So I'm trying to understand it more. And how I see it right now in my head, I feel like anxiety, there's like the problem and you, and then there's like this wall in between. And it's just the anxiety, and it's making it seem worse than it actually is. And I feel like anxiety is something where you have to look at that wall and be like, how much of this wall is actually just made from my own brain? How much is it blocking out? So what I would do is I would kind of imagine like a wall, but it's kind of like a gassy wall. It's not like an actual brick wall. It's like a foggy wall. And depending on how bad your anxiety is with this problem, the wall would be darker, so condensed that you can't even see like
what's on the other side.
What's on the good side of it. Like, you can't even see the other side. You're only seeing the bad side. And so it's like, how much of this is actually just me? How much of it is it actually the problem? Right. Like, for example, I said with the military stuff, this is not a real fucking mission. Is this anxiety really, yes, it's valid, but is it really necessary is the point. But if this was a real mission and I'm fucking deployed, then the anxiety is like, yeah, there is a reason you should be anxious over this. But you do, even in real situations where anxiety makes a lot of sense, you do have to figure out, what are my tools? I think with anxiety, what you need to ask yourself, if you're someone who suffers from it a lot, or maybe even just a little bit, you kind of need to first try to become aware of the patterns of it when it occurs most. And also, like, ask yourself this right now: what are my tools when I do get anxious? What are my tools when the situation is really serious? How do I talk myself down to it? Right. And I know some people, they like to say working out is a good thing, and I think, yeah, working out is a great thing, but what if you can't always just go work out? You know, like, what if you're in an argument with someone and your anxiety's going crazy? What are you just gonna say, hey, gotta get on my gym clothes, gotta get a run?
Because
like,
if you really think about it, the gym is like, it's breathing.
It's a way to,
It's breathing. That's literally, like,
Yeah,
I feel like that's what people, I think it's like, because when you work out, you're constantly breathing in and out. But it's like, you can do that not at the gym. Because I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So
Like,
it's like
you
you
know?
can't always go to the gym, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So if your thing is your tools are the gym, and that's your only tool, you gotta be like, hey, I can't always just go to the gym. That's not really always possible, right? So like if I'm about to go lead a fake mission in Cadetland, can I go to the gym in the moment? No, I can't. I have to go to the field. So what could you always do? You could breathe, and you could say mantras to yourself like, I could do this. This is just my anxiety. This is not like, the problem is not actually this big. And you know what, I want to be careful with saying this. I don't want to say invalidate your anxiety by saying this isn't that big of a deal, but I think parts of it you have to recognize that this anxiety is anxiety. It's not the actual situation, if that makes sense.
Right, because anxiety makes you feel way differently than how you would feel during the actual situation. Like, during my observation for teaching, I didn't get anxious at all during it.
Well, but
like,
Adriana, your first
it's
observation,
more the idea of how you might be feeling and how it might affect you later on is like kind of like what anxiety gives you. Because like, oh, what if it goes completely wrong and like now I'm like not gonna have a future, and then now I'm not gonna like do this and that.
Like, that's unrealistic.
It's unrealistic.
So it's
it
like
makes you feel
your first
unrealistically.
observation should be shitty. That's what I was trying to tell you. I remember when you're freaking out, I'm like, it's, if anything, this is the observation where you should be making the most mistakes, because like, this is where you want to learn from.
Right. Observations are meant for you they want you to fuck up so that they give you critique so that you can build yourself. That's all, because observations are all about building yourself, and so are the ROTC missions. Like, you're kind of made to fail a little bit so you build yourself
like
up.
They make you just jump into it because they're like, the whole point is we want you to fail. Like, we will not fail. They won't want you to fail. They want you to make mistakes so you can learn from them. Like, you don't want to be perfect at a mission. I mean, that's great. You don't want to be perfect at teaching when you first start. You want to like have shit to learn. Isn't that the point of life? Like, learning stuff and like failing, so you making those mistakes so you can do better.
Because if life was just like you're perfect at everything already, then there would be no like strive to do better. Like, you know, like there wouldn't be any drive with anything. And overall, just in those moments, you just need to remember to breathe, remove yourself out of the situation. And like what you were saying before about the wall, like what you see, like how it's like you, the wall, and the actual situation. It's to remember like actually how big this wall is. Like, it might feel
you could
like
walk
you
through
can't,
the wall though. And it's not a brick wall that I visualize. It's a it's a gas wall. Like, you could walk straight through it. You could walk past that wall of anxiety and just jump into it.
But with some people, like when they have major anxiety, like that wall to them is like steel.
Like a brick wall. Yeah.
The wall is like steel. It's like something that like it's unbreakable. Like, you can't get past it. But remember, like, you need to back yourself up in your mind and say, okay, like, there's the wall actually is not that big, because you can really just walk around it.
Exactly. Like, when you back up,
it's avoidable.
You can see how big it is.
Yeah, it's avoidable. Like, your anxiety is actually avoidable.
As unavoidable as it feels, you can work through that.
Right. Exactly. You can work through it. And the
only way out is through.
Right. And the wall's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller as you deal with it. That's
and more transparent.
Right. Like, if you don't work on your anxiety, that shit's not gonna the wall's not gonna get smaller, it's gonna get bigger. That's another thing.
Yes.
Like, you need to be very mindful of that. Like, if you don't actively work on your anxiety, it's never gonna get actually better. Like, I still have feelings of anxiety, and my anxiety never went away. It's more about how I control it now. Because things that I would usually have panic attacks over, I'm more just like, okay, I feel myself getting anxious about it. What are the things I'm going to use to calm myself down? Take a breath. Think about the situation in a different point of view. Like, sometimes, I don't know if this is just what I do, but I sometimes will think of the situation. I'll put the situation in someone else's brain that doesn't have anxiety. And I'm like, how would this person think about it in that way? Yeah, there was a moment where we were at school and my car got stuck in the snow, and I was like ready to have like a huge panic attack. And I was like, holy fuck, what's my dad gonna think? How am I gonna get my car out of here? I need my car for tomorrow. What if it's like totaled? I don't know, all these like stupid fucking things like were running through my head that were like not necessary. And Allie was just sitting next to me and she was like, yeah, we're just gonna call AAA. We're gonna figure it out, like it'll be fine. And she like did not like add to the anxiety at all. Like she was very calm, cool, and collected, and she was like, okay, like this is the situation, like we can't do anything about it, we're already stuck in the snow. Because I tried to like keep getting myself out of it, and she was like, okay, stop, like you're already in it, like now
yeah, I feel like your brain was also, I think sometimes in moments like that your brain's trying to escape like well, what's my dad gonna think? What's gonna do?
Yes.
Well, it already happened.
Yeah,
so whatever your dad thinks is not in your control anymore. Like
Right.
you were trying to take control situations you had no control over in that moment.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm gonna go in the gas station, go get a shovel from the guy, and we'll
Yeah.
figure it out. And then I went in, we got something, we tried shoveling it out, it wasn't working. And the more it didn't work, it was funnier. I was laughing, it was hysterical.
Yeah.
And the way the story ended is that strangers actually had to drive back to their house and go get a chain and pull us out of the snow with the chain.
Right. And the thing is, like, you know, all that anxiety was really for nothing because I ended up getting out, and then my dad was like, chill. Like, he was like,
I was like, no matter
all right.
what, we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Yeah.
She was like, no matter what, like, we're not gonna be stuck here forever. Like, you know, it might take a little time. Like, we didn't get out until 2 hours afterwards. But, like, it was still also kind of funny. Like, now thinking about it, like, it was a fun situation. Yeah, like, we missed it. And it was just, like, kind of funny because we were dealing with my fucking car being in the snow. And so,
that also reminds me of one time Adriana lost her keys in the mall.
Oh my God,
she's
it's bad.
So, this is not good by me, but sometimes like her anxiety can be a little bit funny to me.
bad.
And so she, because I'm over here like very clear headed because it's not like it's very like okay, like either way we're gonna get home from the mall, we'll get her car. But in her head she's more like, what if we don't get home from the mall? And so for me I'm kind of just
I'm like, what if someone takes my car and steals it and
I'm
never
like,
get
really,
my car
Adriana?
back again?
Yeah. So then like
That
for
was a
me it's
true
kind
thought.
of funny like like it sounds so shitty, but like she was having like a genuine like panic attack.
I was,
and she's
yeah.
running back and forth to stores, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, Adriana,
Like, we're gonna find it.
stop crying over
Yeah.
this. And like I know the nice thing to be is like it's okay to cry, but no, I was like, Adriana, we went to 4 stores. It's not going to be that hard to find
Yeah.
these. Where was the first place you were? And then she was like, it was a Victoria's Secret and then this. And I said, did you actually check Victoria's Secret or you just barely went in there? She goes, well, I actually didn't check it that much. And so we had already been to all the 4 stores. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, so let's go back to Victoria's Secret and actually check. And then we asked someone there and then she found it. And then she was like, oh.
Yeah, I
I'm
was like,
fine. And I'm like, see, like you think of
okay.
the worst that's gonna happen, just don't think that. Like, just not don't think that way because it's very hard not to.
You
But
just
think
really
about
try not
the
to.
things that could happen. Like try to like make it a little more realistic. You know.
yeah.
Like, what do you think? We're in a mall full of like 5 million people, and you're gonna look out the window and you're gonna see someone driving this Chevy Traxxas, which is totally possible. But
That's
don't think like
exactly
that.
what went through my head. I was like, someone's gonna fucking steal my car. Like, they're gonna find these keys. They're going to the parking lot. They're gonna click it. They're gonna find it. Boom.
And even
I'm
then,
stranded.
Even then, you can't do anything about it.
yeah, like it's
Right?
just
So you watch
yeah.
someone drive away to your car, and I would just be like, "Oh shit!
Right.
I can't do anything about that."
Yeah.
I'm on floor 10 watching someone drive away in my
Right.
car in the mall. I
Yeah.
really can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then you like you cross bridges when you come to it. You were crossing bridges you were not even at.
That's something that you always say. You're like, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And I'm like, all right. Like, that's another thing. Is like, you really do. That's a great saying for anxiety too. Like, just we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it, because anxiety has different stages of like throughout the entire thing. It's first like the actual problem and all the other shit afterwards. You really gotta take it a little breath at a time and just really fucking chill it out. From someone who has anxiety, you really do just gotta take it one breath at a time. You do the fucking 5 senses bullshit.
Adriana just brought up a great point, the 5 senses and the 5 things you do. So basically what you do is when you need to ground yourself, you do, which was actually when Adriana was in the middle of a really bad, anxiety attack? Panic attack?
It was a panic attack. Anxiety attacks and panic attacks are very similar.
Yeah, so you were in the middle of like actually probably the worst one I've seen you in, to the point where like we were gonna go see a waterfall and she would not get out of the fucking bushes because of how bad it was. And my selfishness was like, I want to see that fucking waterfall. We're literally a turn away from it. But no, in reality it was like, I do need to calm her down from this because this is like ridiculous for her body to be like doing this to her right now. And so after a lot of work of getting her to go sit on the rock in the middle of the hike, I did the 5 4 3 2 1. So 5 things you could see, 4 things you could hear, 3 things you could touch, 2 things that you could smell, and 1 thing that you could taste. So, and then once we did that,
I remember one of them was like, my tears.
yeah, and once we did that in the middle of the thing, she started feeling she had her, and then I made her put her, made her start doing breath work, and then that's when it started to, like, once you were able to ground yourself, then that's how you were able to take yourself out of it.
Yeah.
And then I started making you say, like, mantras and affirmations to yourself. And that was really funny, because I wish we honestly videotaped that thing as like a video for someone to study.
I know. That was really cool.
Seeing you get out of that it took me.
Yeah.
Like, I had to go into my brain and be like, I need to dig up some shit right now.
Yeah.
Fast.
It was crazy.
Like, I had to keep, like, going with things. And
yeah.
So what she would do is I would make her say, let's say, an affirmation, like okay, so depending on what the situation is about. So in this situation, it had to do with loneliness. So the affirmations that I was creating, it was questions that she had to tell me. Like, for example, I have myself. Something like that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the affirmations were, but let's say it was I have myself. So I would get really far away from her, and I would keep walking away, and I'd be like...
she'd make me say them louder and louder
like,
and louder
I can't hear
and louder.
You. And then, like, if she wouldn't say it, she would, oh, no. And I was like, you're mumbling. And I would, like, yell even louder, and I'm like, you're mumbling. I can't hear you. Say it for me again. And then she would give me, like, I think it was 4 or 5 we came. And then I was like, tell me what number 3 was again. And then we kept going. And I was like, what was number 1 again? Wait, number 5 was good. I kind of forgot it. Can you tell me that again? Wait, sorry, I just stepped, like, you're mumbling. I can't hear you. Yell it one more time for me. Oh, Haley can't hear you either, but she's over there.
Oh,
you need to tell her now. And so it was really funny. And it was fun for me, because it's
funny because
I had to get her out of something, and I was trying to figure out funny ways and fun ways to do it, and it started working eventually. We finished we saw the waterfall.
I know, yeah, we did see the waterfall. It's that whole experience, I think, was the most I've ever been grounded after a panic attack. Like, I don't think I've ever been able to, like, just bounce back from that and actually enjoy the rest of my day afterwards. Like, I was fine, like, after that. It took, like, an hour and a half. It was a long time. But I think just, like, that was, like, full roundedly grounding myself. It was every single way. Grounding myself through touch, sight, everything. Like, it was just, like, it was truly, like, an overall mind-body connection every single way you can possibly imagine. And the power of that is astronomical. Like, it's crazy, because I actually did not think I was gonna be okay afterwards, because it was one that, like, it was you not were ready
good. You told me that we were going home.
I wanted to go home really bad, and I've never
I get stubborn. She's very stubborn when she gets, like, panic attacks and stuff like that, but she can never really beat my stubbornness. So, like, if she's gonna be stubborn towards me, I can just bring it right back at her, even worse. So when she told me she was ready to go home, and kind of, like, to me that was giving up on it.
I was begging them to take me home.
Begging.
No, I was actually like, please, like, take me home. To us, please begging. Take me home, and they wouldn't. I was getting so frustrated. I was getting so
She's getting
mad.
So mad.
I was getting so mad.
And I was like, there's no shot we're giving up on this, and we're going home because your brain is ruining this for you. Like, and that's when I was like, fuck no. So when you said that, I was like, just step onto the rock. Take your sock off. I don't want my feet to get wet, whatever the thing was. And I was like, take your sock off. And then another big thing she kept saying was, this is so embarrassing. There's people here. I said, Adriana, there's 2 people here. There's nobody you should be embarrassed by. There's literally nobody here right now. It was just so many irrational thoughts at once. Like, she couldn't even step her foot onto the rock below, is how badly her body was, like, trying to reject, like, even trying to remotely get grounded.
Like, that shit, it actually hurts. Like, it hurts my body
to do things like that. Yeah.
My version of cold plunges is just making myself do things when I'm in a very depressed or anxious state. To push myself to, like, not stay in bed, to, like, get in my car and go to the gym, and I'm having, like, a really, really shitty day, like, really depressive thoughts, and I'm, like, being like, no, like, you're beautiful, you're pretty, you're this, you're that, like, no, like, you're fine, like, you're fine. And it's, like, literally just saying these things out loud and doing, like, these actions just makes you comfortable with the uncomfortable. Like, now it's, and
that's what cold showers do.
Yeah, that's what cold plunges do. That's like my own version of it, because, you know.
But do you see how So there's affirmations and grounding yourself in anxiety attacks. But all those things can be practiced by simply doing things that have actually maybe nothing to do with it, but everything to do with it.
Right.
Right? So cold showers is equivalent. So dealing with calming your body down during a cold shower is the equivalent to getting yourself out of bed when you want to stay in bed when you're depressed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Pushing through your anxiety when like all you want to do is just like give into it.
What would you say? Like two things are like
they coincide.
That's the word.
They coincide together. They very much go together. So overall, like with anxiety, I think the biggest tip you could probably take away from this is the biggest tool you can use is grounding yourself and breathing.
The biggest tool you could use is yourself.
You know. See, she's better at me than this. All right, so that's our podcast for today.
If you want to go figure out if you should smash or pass Bob Duncan, go to episode 13, Smash or Pass plus End of College Recap.
If you want tips and tricks on how to also manage your depression, you can go listen to episode 10, Depresso Espresso.
Solo episode by Adri. If you want to figure out why falling in love with your best friend is a terribly horrible idea, go listen to episode 7, Falling in Love with Your Best Friend, part 1, and part 2 is more of the healing and moving on section of Falling in Love with Your Best Friend. Go listen to that one as well. If you want to know if you have an innie or outie vagina, go listen to our last episode, episode 17, The Energy of Sex and a Woman's Vagina. Share and follow us along on our journey on season 1. And I hope you guys enjoy these episodes.
We post new episodes every Tuesday at 6 a.m. And our Instagram is BCD Ali and Adri, where we post little sound bites of our podcast, little quotes from it, and soon some videos.
Go follow me on Instagram, miss_swoleshady for some fitness and body positivity content, and go shop some Muscle Mommy merch on swoleshady.com. Promo code BCDSWOLE for 15% off your order.
You can only get it here.
Thank you, everyone. That's the pod.
Thank you so much for listening and watching.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.